All right, fellas. Well, for the sake of time, let's go to our picks for the second round. So we're down to 8, and we'll start in the West, and we'll go back to Seattle, who are up against the Dallas Stars, who eliminated the Minnesota Wild in 6 games. Who we got in this second round series between the Kraken and the Stars?
Well, you already know that I'm taking Dallas. I mentioned that it's not going to be long-lived for Seattle. I think that Dallas is a powerhouse in the playoffs right now. The way they're playing, the team is structured so well for the playoffs because they play with so much speed, yet they're heavy and hard to play against. And then you have Ottinger, who is, you mentioned Shesterkin as being the best goalie in the playoffs. Well, Ottinger is number 2, and I think Schmidt is number 3. So Ottinger has been phenomenal. Their top guys have been great. Their depth has been banging it out. And now they're getting Pavelski back, the lifeblood of this team, and one of the best playoff performers of all time. Or maybe not of all time, but of the last 2 decades, or the last decade at least. Pavelski is going to put so much energy into this team, and I think that Dallas is going all the way. They're going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals. So I've got Dallas, and I thought about taking them in 5. I'm so confident in this team, but I'm going to say 6 games for Dallas to win. Seattle, once again, is going to put up an effort that impresses us all with their house money.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, Case. I also have Dallas in 6. I wanted to go shorter, but Seattle, they're just too pesky. They just have too many lines who can generate offense and skate you into the ground. So I think this is going to be maybe a little bit of a shock early on to Dallas, but let's not mince words here. They have a better forward group, a better defense core, and a better goaltender. Despite the fact that Philip Grubauer was one of the best goalies in the first round, he wasn't better than Jake Ottinger, and that's largely why Seattle was able to get by, is because Grubauer put on a show, and that was, he was able to steal games. Well, the guy at the other end in this series, Jake Ottinger, is one of the best to do it, and he's still young and hungry as well. So Dallas in 6 games, got a couple X factors here. One for Seattle is Jared McCann. We know that he led their team in scoring in the regular season, though he has just 1 point through 4 games in the first round. He'll likely miss the first 2 games. I don't think he's going to be traveling with the team, but after that, who knows? And he could be an X factor for this team going forward because, like I said, he's their leading scorer in the regular season, that is. And then, like you said, for Dallas, Joe Pavelski is my X factor as well. He played 10 minutes of that first game where he got absolutely crunched by Dumba, but he's a game time decision in game 1 here. He's had a long time to recover from this, and if he's healthy and ready to go, it just adds to an already incredibly stacked and deep Dallas forward group. So I have no doubt that Dallas is the better team, and unless we see an upset, they should win here. So Dallas in 6 for me.
Yeah, this one is a clean sweep. I'm taking the Stars in 6 as well. I wanted to go to 5, but I think that, Seattle, they're going to give them a good test, but Dallas is just the stronger team, and I think that this is the start of a long window for them to win with this group that they have and the guys coming. Roope Hintz has been one of the best players in the entire playoffs so far. Big body, moves around the ice so well, and he's just been scoring at an unbelievable clip. They've got the defense, they've got the depth up front and the firepower. Getting Pavelski back, they're well coached by Peter DeBoer, who has a good record in the playoffs, and they've got the franchise goalie in Jake Ottinger. So yeah, I'll take Dallas in 6 as well. Clean sweep. All right, let's get to the other second round series in the West. Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers, they move on after eliminating the LA Kings in 6 games, and the very well-rested Vegas Golden Knights are who they are up against in round 2. I think this is going to be a hell of a series. Who we got in this one?
It's interesting that you say that because I'm actually going to take Edmonton in 5 games in this one. I had Vegas in 5 over Winnipeg. I was right about that. And I also said whoever won the Edmonton and LA series is going to beat Vegas. That extra break, in my opinion, is never good. It doesn't work out. teams start to get, I don't know, they're not into it when the series comes around, and I think that's going to play a factor. But the other part is Edmonton's power play is absolutely ridiculous, and we are in the era of playoffs where they call more penalties than ever. It's kind of hard to watch, I'm not going to lie, and I think that Edmonton's power play is ridiculous. This team is hungry. They got through LA, which, everyone was saying that is going to be an absolute blood feud of a series. And for the most part, it was, but they did it in 6 games. Everyone was thinking 7, and that was a lot of goals scored in that series. I think that Edmonton is scary, and they'll be seeing Dallas in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, well, Case, I'm with you. Not quite in 5 games, but I have Edmonton in 7. I just think it makes sense when you look at their forward group. It's clearly better. I will give the slight edge on defense to Vegas. I think they just have better guys and more depth there as opposed to Edmonton, where you've got Nurse and Ekholm, and Bouchard's having he had a good first round series as well, but then after that it drops off massively for me. So I'll give the edge to Vegas there. And then in net, again, I'm not really sure who gets the edge. It's kind of an X factor for both teams, but I just think the Edmonton offense is so good that it doesn't even matter that Vegas has an edge on defense and maybe even the edge in net, because the Oilers don't get goalied, so it really doesn't matter. I'm picking them in 7, though, because I think there are still concerns that this team can't defend as well as maybe a cup contender should be able to. And, despite the fact that they were good in the first round, I'm still just a little weary about that decor. So Edmonton in 7, I feel like there will be some moments where this series gets pretty high flying. Edmonton probably wins that matchup, but I could see some fluky goals going in as well, with goaltending being a question mark, at least to an extent. X factor for Vegas for me is Mark Stone, currently playing on the 3rd line as sort of a shutdown role, but him and Chandler Stevenson, who are playing on that 3rd line together, are 1 and 2 in points on the team. So although they're playing that sort of shutdown role, they've been doing it offensively too. My question is, and why Mark Stone is an X factor, which line do you match him up against? The Draisaitl line or the McDavid line? Because this is a series now where you've got 2 horses, absolute horses, who will likely be driving their own lines in Edmonton, and that's scary to me. So if Stone is able to, shut one of them down, then you've got 3 other lines who are able to worry about the other guy. And then also, just in general, in case you mentioned it, special teams will be a huge factor in this series. It's basically the best power play we've maybe ever seen versus one of the worst penalty kills, at least in the first round. Vegas ranked 15th.
To give a little meat to my, special teams comment here, Vegas was the 2nd worst power play or penalty kill in the first round, only over Los Angeles. And they're only the basement because they played Edmonton. Like, Edmonton's power play is
56%, man.
Ridiculously good. And then Vegas's power play is kind of mediocre. At least in the first round. I mean, in the regular season's a different story, but the first round, it didn't play as big of a factor as Edmonton's did to carry them on to this second series.
Yeah, so in conclusion, I've got Edmonton in 7. I think it'll be a bit closer than you think, Case, in the 5 games that you predicted, but taking Edmonton nonetheless, I think they're the better team.
I agree, and when I said right off the top that it's going to be a hell of a series, I just think it's going to be a really physical series. I have a feeling it's going to be, but I'm taking the Oilers. They were my cup pick, even though my bracket is just completely done now after the Bruins got eliminated and others. But I'm going to take Edmonton in 6. So I'll go right in between you guys, and just the power play. Those 2 horses, McDavid and Draisaitl up front. I think the goaltending is better. I mean, I don't know if Vegas can keep it up with Brossoit or whoever it's going to be. Even though he looked really good in that 5-game series against Winnipeg, and first time ever that we're going to see McDavid versus Eichel, the guys who went 1 and 2 in 2015 against each other in the playoffs. So looking forward to that. But I think Edmonton gets this done in 6 games. Vegas kind of gives them all they can, and and Edmonton takes this in 6.
To give a little more meat to my in 5 comment, I guess I didn't do a good enough job in my spiel here, but the reason I have them in 5 is because the first 2 games are in Vegas. Vegas has been sitting and waiting and getting stale, and Edmonton didn't even go home when their series ended. They stayed in California. They practice at LA's rink, and they're ready. They're there already. Yep. They're in Vegas right now, and it's. I think they're going to win the first 2, or at least the first game in Vegas, and then they're going to be on their heels while they're going back to Edmonton, and they're not going to Ranger it. They're going to put it to them at home and end this series in 5 games.
I could see it for sure. Vegas has had their fair share of struggles at home as well.